Matthew here from MiniWargaming.com, bringing you another Beat Matt Batrep.
We works here to play. Mini Wargaming's Beat Matt Batrep.
Today, Beau has come all the way down from Saskatoon. Was that driving or flying?
Flying.
How long
Don't
a flight?
drive it.
How long a flight was it?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hour flight just to play me in a Beat Matt Batrep. Okay, I'm just kidding. He has family. He's visiting them, so he thought, why not go and play a Beat Matt Batrep at the same time? And he has challenged me to a game of Warhammer 40k with his Deathwing against my Tyranids. This is going to be a 2,000 points battle report. Let's take a look at the armies and then look at the scenario as well as the board. Let's start by taking a look at Beau's Dark Angels. So we've got, I believe it's 2,000 points per side, and he's got lots of Terminators, his Deathwing assault thing, or whatever you call it, with Belial at the top. We've got Belial leading the charge, which allows Terminators to be brought as troop choices, and then we've got 4 groups of Terminators, mostly with there's a lightning claw in each of them, there's thunder hammers, there's a couple of them that have the missile launcher thing, and we've got 2 Land Raiders, a regular Land Raider and a Land Raider Crusader, and so there will be 2 squads going inside of the Land Raiders. And then we have 2 Dreadnoughts, just so that you see them. They have the close combat weapon, and I believe that is a twin-linked Melta on one and a twin-linked Plasma on the other, or maybe it's twin-linked Plasma. That's a Plasma Cannon right there for sure. I think the other one's twin-linked Melta. And then we have a Vindicator in the middle. So it's a very elite army going up against my Tyranids. So decided I would try something a little different. I've been trying to change up my Tyranid army as much as possible. This is a Swarm Lord again. I've been using him in the past couple games because I just want to see how he works out in the long run, just trying him a few times. Right here we have a Tyrannifex. That's Carnifex actually, but with Tyrannifex. And we got 2 Tervagons. One of them is an HQ choice. Or sorry, yeah, one of them is an HQ and one of them is a Troops choice. We've got a Trigon Prime, and then we got 2 groups of Gene Stealers. These are fully upgraded, so they got Scything Talons, Toxin Sacs, and Adrenal Glands, and there's even a Broodlord in this larger group right here. And then 20 Termagants with Devours, which I don't normally use, and they're coming inside of a Mycetic Spore, so I want to see how they're going to work out in this game. I realize he's got a lot of 2+ armor saves. I didn't actually know what he was going to be bringing. I think I knew he was Dark Angels, but that was about it. So the scenario, as you can see, we've already set up the terrain. We got lots of terrain on here. And for those that think that I set it up this way to favor my close combat army, it's actually not even as much terrain as you're supposed to have on a 40k board. It's supposed to be 25% covered. I mean, this is actually not even 25% covered. So there you go. So we rolled for scenario and everything, and it turns out to be capture and control and Dawn of War deployment. So I chose this one, the Mini Wargaming die piece. So you have to be within 3 inches of the entire terrain piece is what we decided. And he chose this Slanesh looking one, ironically. And so his deployment zone will be on that side and mine on this side. We rolled off, and I think he got higher, but then he allowed me to go first and deploy first. And since it's Dawn of War, you deploy within 24 inches, and hit 1 HQ and 2 troop choices. In this case, I only have 1 troop choice that can come on because the other ones are in reserve, because the ones dropping in deep striking, and the Gene Stealers are going to be outflanking. He decides to not deploy anything, so I get a bit of a denial in the first turn. So Tyranids turn 1. First thing that happens is reserves come on. Those that aren't in deep strike or outflanking reserve just automatically come in turn 1 on your board edge. And so they just walk on right there. The Tervagon cannot spawn because he has to spawn at the beginning of his turn. The other Tervagon manages to spawn 9. And that's a pretty good number. And the nice thing is I didn't roll double, so he'll be able to continue spawning after that. And so these guys get ready. And I think the Tervagons were not upgraded except for Catalyst, which allows me to feel no pain. But I think they might. Oh no, you know what? They did have Toxin Sacs, I think. We actually played this game like a week ago, so I'm trying to remember. So on his turn, he brings in the 2 Land Raiders. They move up at cruising speed. The 2 Dreadnoughts walk in as well. And his Vindicator walks on as well, or drives on. And he tries to deep strike the one group. It does scatter over 9 inches. Not too big a deal because he can't assault when he arrives anyways, so he can still fire once he lands in there. One of them has to do dangerous terrain and actually fails it, but makes his invulnerable save. So thankfully he did not die due to landing in the trees, because that would be rather embarrassing for a Terminator. The other ones disembark from their transports, their assault vehicles, see if they can actually get close enough to assault something that's up there, like the Swarm Lord. Get a plasma cannon shot on the Tervagon, but it scatters far off and doesn't hit anything. And then the Terminators then fire everything they have onto the Turbogon as well. And he's using a crack missile in there and manages, I think, 1 wound, and I do fail to save that. And so he's down to 5 of his wounds out of his 6. And then fires at the Swarm Lord and manages 1 wound there. I do not get cover because he's a monstrous creature. And then the Land Raider's going to fire as well, because he does have Machine Spirit, which allows him to use some of his weapons, and does not manage to inflict any unsaved wounds. The Terminators who are in assault range actually decide to fire, see what they can do as well, and actually manage to knock down another 2 of his wounds. So he's down 3 out of 5 of his wounds. Other Terminator then fires a multi-melta at the Turbogon and everything else, although I'm realizing now that he moved and fired everything. So that shouldn't be normally allowed, but that's okay. We'll forgive it. And he kills a lot of the Termagants right there, and then the Terminators fire everything at those Termagants as well, and manage to do a lot more wounds, and I save 1 of them. So looks like 3 out of 4 died, or something. I don't know why that only happened. I think there was Feel No Pain on them or something like that. And then he goes into close combat with the Swarm Lord. The Swarm Lord gets to hit first, and he manages to kill 4 of them, because he has a reroll as invulnerable save, and because it's got all his bone sabers. So he kills 4 out of 5 of those Assault Terminators. The other Assault Terminator hits back and does not manage to hurt him, because I make all my invulnerable saves. And actually he takes a lot of extra saves, or damage as well, for being fearless, but does not die. So I am stuck in combat with that last guy, which is too bad, because it would have been nice to charge in to the next obstacle. So as you can see, everybody is still alive over on this side, and he's protecting his objective. The Swarm Lord is still alive, which is nice because he gives +1 to reserves, and he lets me re-roll my outflanking. So stay tuned for round 2. Click on the annotation if you're on YouTube, or click the link below if you are watching this on Mini Wargaming. Who do you think is going to win based on what you've seen? Leave a comment below and let us know.